No, I cannot get that on. So you'll have to just excuse me. I'm going to just look for my pliers. I have another alternative for putting them on. Oh, there they are. Oh, thank you. Sorry. Yep. A delivery of a cream cake. These pliers. These are quite nice for doing this job. You just, yeah. Let's see if I can get them to do their job. I probably will find I can't this time. Just because I want to. But yeah, when you want to take something off, you hold them, go under there, and you just squeeze that, and it pops off. Getting them on the other way sometimes can be a little bit more complicated. I should just be able to squeeze that, get them to pop on, and it's not going to. I'm probably going to have to get out something else. Yep, they're not going to work. That is a really tight fit. So, next, pair of mole grips. Next is the next alternative. These are miniature ones. Not really suited for this, but at this moment in time nothing is there, it's snapped on. That was hard to do, but it is, well, sort of. It is quite loose, as you can see. So it's a good fit. That isn't going to drop off of its own accord by any means. So now what we'll do is we'll mount the servo, and then we'll pop it on the servo. So this time we've got the other two screws. Did I get an extra? Yeah, I got one too many out. Oh well. And again, a little bit of thread lock. So hopefully you're doing okay, Holocole. Nice to see you in the chat again. I've got too much on this, so what I can do is just spread it over a couple of nuts like that. So I've been really trying very carefully not to squeeze this container because otherwise you end up with this stuff all over the place, but it's still oozing out. Must be the temperature. Week was okay. Well, that's good. My working week has been interesting but rather bad, relatively speaking. Okay, I can't get in with that head, so we'll just change to maybe this one. It's just got a longer shaft on there, so it should fit a little bit easier. There we go. Excuse me. Yes, I've been fighting system issues all week, which has been some late nights. Or relatively speaking late nights. It was tonight as well. I didn't actually finish until 6 o'clock and then I had to get home. But it's nice and fun to come and build RCs. Remembering to put tools away as I use them. Which reminds me there's one of them missing, which is why you should always put tools away when you use them. So we have the next step complete. What we're going to do now is get that to go on top of there. There, stamped on. And again, it's the push rod is kind of loose, but it's not. It's free to move is the word I'm looking for. It does look like it will perhaps want a bit of adjustment, but that will be done when we align the radio. We've put that chassis to one side now for the moment, because we're now making shock absorbers. And if I remember rightly, there's 4 of them on this model. Or maybe I remember wrongly, there's 2 of them, but we'll see. So, these are metal parts, MB. So I now need bag B of metal parts. That's D. That's E. That's B. There is 4 shock absorbers. How do I know that? Because there's 4 pink things in here. Now this is the only thing I find a little bit confusing about. Well, no, I'll rephrase that. This is about one of only 2 things I find confusing about this pack, and that is this bag is labelled B, but the parts are labelled MB, and but all the screws and bolts are BA, BB, BC, etc. But what these are is metal B part number, as opposed to plastic B part number, and the plastic B part numbers are just B and the part number, but the metal ones are all labelled M and then B. So I find that at the start, when you first start doing this, I find that confusing, and until you've sort of worked it out, and then once you've worked it out, you still find it confusing for a little bit, but then you sort of suddenly grasp it and you're away. So those, and what else do I need? MB7. So I'm going to be looking for is it that? No, I'm not sure it's that bag. It looks more like that bag. I think that might be them. But the springs are in that bag. Okay. Alright, so let's open this. It's warm here in the studio, and I can tell that my patience, yeah, that's the right one, is for things like trying to get these out of this plastic bag is waning slightly. That's 2. You have to have patience though doing these models. It's not so much that it's complicated or anything like that, but certain things, if you tipped all of this stuff into a big pile in the middle of the desk, you'd spend more time trying to sort it out. So it does pay to take your sort of time, but also it just pays. You might as well enjoy building it. You know, it's sort of rush and mess it up or just get all stressed over it, and it's kind of like, so that's certainly my advice, take your time. So believe it or not, there's probably 4 springs here. What I'm going to do is unravel them without them going all over the place, because I'm sure I'd probably have difficulty finding those on a dark blue carpet. But you don't want to bend them or, you know, distort them. There we go. And now I'm going to need some other parts from the plastic tree number C, which is this one. I'm going to need these ends, I think. C3, yeah, that's these ends, and I'm going to need C17, which are 4 washers there. So I will cut those off of the tree. It's been a bit like that here. There's certainly cold, as you say, cold wind and hot sun. In fact, I kind of wish I could open the door at the moment, but the cats are in for the evening. It would be nice to have that cool breeze blowing through the studio right now. It's 25 degrees in here, and I don't actually know why it's 25 degrees in here, because there's no heating on or anything, and it's about 8 degrees outside, but for some reason it gets up to like 20 odd degrees in here. It could be my PC, I guess. It does have a sort of a 1200 watt power supply, but I'm not using it that much. Now I'm just holding on to these so that they don't go pinging off somewhere when I cut them. And then we can assemble them. I think they're okay. One advantage of cutting them off with those pliers like that is that it's a reasonably clean cut, so I don't probably have to smooth those off, because yeah, I also need some more parts off of here. I need some more parts. Where's the other parts? MB9. Oh, he says, where's the other parts? They're fastened in already. They're here. I'm looking for that, and it's there. So what we do is we grease things. Oh, we need some grease. No, I'm not going to make that joke. I hate that. This tube has been slightly squeezed, and it is now. This is silicone grease, isn't it? Oh, ceramic grease. That's not so bad thing. I did not want it, if it was silicone grease, I wanted it to be really careful where it went. Because when you're doing airbrush painting, the last thing you want around is silicone. Silicone spray, silicone grease, get silicone anywhere near airbrush, something that you're airbrushing, and you will have a problem with it. You'll have a problem in that the paint doesn't stick, but it sort of doesn't stick in a really odd way. You can lay it on, it's okay, but as it dries it does what they call fisheye and goes into little blobs, which is obviously not what you really want to happen. So what I bet that doesn't go in there. Oh, it does. Okay, so all I'm going to do is screw this onto the end of it. screw that home, take a spring, drop the spring in and put the top on. And there we have one shock absorber. Now all I've got to do is repeat that 3 more times. There's a lot too much grease on there, but it's going to waste anyway. Doesn't need that much on. And I've just forgotten to put something on the end of it, which is one of these. And now I'm going to have grease all over my fingers, which will be quite hard to get rid of. A spring and the top. So these shock absorbers actually do work. You can buy uprated ones which are filled with oil, so they're oil damped shock absorbers. To be honest, don't really think the truck is will generally be taking that much stress or bounce on the wheels that you need sort of oil based shock absorbers. But yeah, they look nice. They're a little bit more improved, but generally speaking I think these trucks, unless I guess you start racing them, but these sorts of trucks tend to be moving relatively slowly, and so the kit shock absorbers are certainly in my view more than adequate for what they do. Two down, 2 to go. Interesting. Ceramic grease is a high temperature grease. Don't actually think these shock absorbers are ever going to get that hot. And they've probably used it more for its properties in the gearbox, and since they've got a tube of it for the gearbox, they're using the same stuff. This job here is just to make it a little bit easier for the centre rod here, just to slide in and out of this sort of the piston housing. In a real shock absorber, what you'd be getting is the air